Okay. Okay, we're live. We are live. We're going to let some people join us. All of our friends here joining us on Substack.
Yeah.
Welcome to Grounded with John Tester and Maritza Giorgio. It's been a minute, Senator Tester.
Yeah. Well, I had a former staff member get married and he did a destination wedding in Toledo, Spain. And so,
Not
Char-
Ohio.
Charlotte, not Ohio, not Toledo, Ohio, Toledo, Spain.
Toledo.
And so, never been to England. So we went to London, and then we went to Madrid and drove down to Toledo. It was an impressive wedding. You know,
Diane says hi from Washington State. Hi, Diane. Okay, tell me, we don't have a lot of time, and we want to get in a lot of headlines, but tell us the highlights. What'd you think of the UK?
cool, expensive, but cool. The dollar
Yeah.
is pretty, the pound is worth a lot more than the dollar. So it was expensive, but it was really neat. It was really cool. Yeah, really, really a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
And
I
and, and Spain was great too. So both those countries are great. Didn't say much about Trump when you talk to people about what's going on in the U.S.
oh,
Very, very closed lip. Wouldn't show their hand at all. Nobody. I mean, nobody showed their hand. So it was pretty.
really?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised by that.
Me too.
So I did an episode without you because I don't know if you were sleeping or if you were out partying in Spain or what, but we did
Oh,
an episode with Kevin Barron, who, was a Pentagon reporter for a long time, and he was actually the VP of the Pentagon Press Association. It was a great conversation, but hey, we need to have him back on because throughout the whole thing, I could hear your voice yelling at me
yeah.
saying, "Why aren't you asking about this?"
Well, we would love to have him back on. I would love to visit with him about what's going on from a press standpoint in the Department of Defense. And yeah, would love to. Yeah. But look, I'm sure you did a much better job without me than with me. So it's okay.
I didn't chair the subcommittee on defense appropriations,
Yeah.
so I think you could have added to that. Ralph's asking if we're going to talk about the Comey suit, Tylenol, UN. We are going to try to get to it all, Ralph. But I want
Yep.
to look at some breaking news that just came across my phone right now. Let's see, the Washington Post says that Pete Hegseth just ordered a rare urgent meeting of hundreds of generals and admirals in Virginia. And the staff of those generals, even top generals, say they don't know why. So it's going to happen next week. So we will follow that. That literally just came down on my phone. And the other big headline overnight that I saw is that now federal agencies are going to look at kind of reopen the safety, studying the safety of mifepristone, which is known as the abortion drug. So as they do that, and that comes up, I know a lot of women have expressed concerns about what that could mean if all of a sudden they have an announcement about mifepristone like they had about Tylenol this week.
Yeah, you never know. The Republican Party has changed a lot, and that's not breaking news. Now they're really working on telling us how to live almost on a daily basis on what we can do, what we can't do. And hopefully some people are paying attention to this because I think it's one of the problems Democrats have, but the Republicans have put it on steroids. And it's it's a bit disconcerting, and I'm being kind when I say that.
There's just so much happening and it's so hard to follow. We are going to cover some more of those headlines, but another one that gets pushed to the bottom a little bit is Jeffrey Epstein. And there are lots of people trying to keep it open and keep talking about it. And our guest today is Tara Palmeri. She's a longtime political journalist, and she has covered Jeffrey Epstein and the survivors for a very long time. She's done podcasts about them. So we're going to talk to her in just a little bit. But we have a lot of questions because that is no matter what story is dominating the headlines, there is a loud group online I know I've seen saying, okay, that's nice, but where are the Epstein files? So they're trying to keep that alive.
Well, I mean, I think it's more than keeping it alive. I think it's just getting to the bottom of it, getting to the
Right.
fact, making sure the deep state releases the information on the Epstein stuff. the president when he was running for
Wait,
president
I did
promised.
that didn't fly by me. I heard you're now going to call him the deep state, huh?
Well, I mean, look, they're the ones that talked about the deep state holding back information, and I never saw that in the 18 years I was in the U.S. Senate, but I'm sure hell seeing it now. And so, yeah, I mean, and so the bottom line is there's a bunch of victims out there, a bunch of victims out there that are walking around going, "What the hell is going on?" I'm the
Right.
one that was abused. I'm the one that was taken advantage of at a very young age, I might add. And the president of the United States, who was part of that party that went down to whatever damn island it was, is now supposedly not interested in releasing the information and coming clean. What's he got to hide? That's the question. That's
Well, we're going
really
to
is
talk.
the question. What is
We're
what,
going
what's
to talk to Tara about that, and she knows a lot about this.
yeah.
I would consider her an expert, so we are going to talk to her about that in just a little bit, in about 13 minutes. So we're going to get through some headlines. Last night, MSNBC reported that former FBI Director James Comey is expected to be indicted in a matter of days, imminently. So some background here. A top prosecutor just resigned over this. They felt pressure to file charges against Comey. It's not totally clear here what charges are coming. One source said they told MSNBC they thought it might include accusing him of lying to Congress in 2020. That's important because the statute of limitations is 5 years, and that runs out next week.
Well, look, Jim Comey is the guy that I don't care what party you're in, you love to hate him. I mean, he had issues with both parties when he was there,
Hmm.
as far as what some of the actions he did. But this is just another example of politicizing the Department of Justice, which is the largest law enforcement agency in this country, to do the bidding of the president against his perceived political opponents. And it's very dangerous. Very, very, very dangerous. And by the way, the genie is out of the bottle on this stuff, and getting it put back in is going to be really, really hard moving forward. The next president of the United States, if we have another president of the United States, is going to be very, very challenged by getting this administration off the political bullshit and back into doing their jobs of protecting this country.
We saw another shooting yesterday. This one was at an processing facility in Texas. Now, investigators said that an unspent bullet casing had anti-ice written on it. And then a bunch of politicians came out, attacking what they're calling the radical left. Here's the thing. We don't know a lot. Just like right after the Charlie Kirk shooting, we don't know a whole lot of information. And the FBI director, Kash Patel, put out even a photo on X about that, with the picture of those unspent casings. And there's just a lot of immediate rushing to score political points here. So, and a lot of blame going around. And some people are questioning why Kash Patel would put out photos of fresh evidence on X instead of going through the old channels here. And notably, I have the New York Times here, and they said, right on the front page that they couldn't independently verify the details about the writing on that ammunition. I think that's really telling. The other thing is that the three people who were shot were all detainees. One of them was killed, two others in critical condition. But immediately everyone started coming out and saying, well, they were targeting ICE officers. And the truth is, we just don't know. We just don't know yet.
Yeah, I think it deals this. I mean, the issue here is three people got shot.
Right.
One of them is dead. Two of them are in critical condition. And yet, politicians now, and I think it speaks to their lack of professionalism, comes out and starts to score political points on the death of somebody or somebody getting injured. This shouldn't be a blame game. This should be about making sure that this kind of stuff doesn't happen and doing what you can do to amp down the pressure. And they do just the opposite. And I also think this releasing evidence on X is kind of like Peak Hegseth releasing classified information on a non-classified platform like Signal. It just shows a complete lack of awareness and professionalism by the people that are in very high positions in this administration.
All right, I want to talk about a huge story, I think, that's not getting a ton of mainstream traction yet, but I think it will, and I find it deeply troubling. The Miami Herald is reporting that about 1,200 people who were detained at what the Trump administration calls Alligator Alcatraz, they're unaccounted for. About 800 of those people had no listing on the public database. Their families don't know what happened to them. Their lawyers don't know what happened to them. One attorney showed up to find their client was deported to Guatemala by mistake. And so this is not the first time we have seen this administration say they mistakenly deported somebody. What's your reaction?
Well, if it's true, it's unacceptable, absolutely unacceptable. And why would the Miami Herald just make something like this up? It speaks to what's going on in the country today, and it's very disturbing. People don't get due process on anything, and they just picked up, shipped out, American citizen, who gives a shit, gone. And as was pointed out by a woman that I served with, not served with, that I was a part of at the Institute of Politics at the University of Chicago, just because it's somebody else doesn't mean it's okay. Because tomorrow it
Right.
could be you. Tomorrow it could be you.
Right. And I think about all of the efforts to get people who are wrongfully convicted freed. And there have been plenty of cases of that happening. And that's horrific on its own right, spending years in prison for a crime you didn't commit. Getting deported or sent to a prison in El Salvador or anything else, I mean, without any due process, it's wild to me that this is acceptable.
In many cases, it's a death sentence, period.
Right. Okay, we are seeing a huge change in tone from the president on Ukraine. Of course, he had a very long speech at the UN General Assembly this week. People have a lot of opinions about that. This comes after he literally rolled out the red carpet for Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska this summer. He said Ukraine would have to talk about, some territory swaps. We remember that Oval Office meeting, that very, very heated Oval Office meeting between the president and the vice president and Volodymyr Zelensky when Trump said, "You don't have the cards." Well, now he's saying that Ukraine is in the position to take back all of its territory. And when asked if he still trusts Putin, Trump said he will let us know in about a month.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Uh, and I hope that he actually is on Ukraine's side because they're fighting for democracy. It's interesting. Marisa, on the way back from Europe, I watched The Darkest Hour about Winston Churchill, who saved Western democracy. And, I think back to what Donald Trump did to Zelensky in the Oval Office and the vice president, too, I might add. And it was totally unacceptable and, once again, totally unprofessional. But for him to come out in favor of Ukraine now, I say that's good. What have you done for them lately? How have you helped them retain their country? What have you done to push back on Putin? Look, Putin came to Anchorage, and Putin got everything he wanted out of that meeting. Everything. There was nothing as far as Ukraine goes, or anything else as far as that's concerned. And he got his place on the stage. And this is a guy that can't go around the world. About the only place he could go is Russia and Anchorage, Alaska. So, look, I appreciate the president's statements, but what have you done? What have you done? How have you helped Ukraine defeat Putin? Because that is what needs to happen. How has the United States helped? This isn't all on NATO. The United States has always been the leader of the free world since World War II. They're the ones that have protected democracy. They need to keep that status, or that democracies will go away around the world, and that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. And we might get into how the military is reorganized based off of the priorities of the military based on your interview a couple of days ago. But the truth is that for the president to say what he said is good. Now, what are you doing? You're saying one thing and doing another, or are you actually stepping up and helping Ukraine be successful because they need help?
You were so close to directly quoting a Janet Jackson song that I love, which is "What Have You Done for Me Lately?" But I will move past that because I know that wasn't your intention. But the question I'm going off on a tangent.
You locked up on me. I didn't even hear it, so go
Oh, I
ahead.
locked out. Oh, I said you were really close to directly quoting a Janet Jackson song that I love, and now it's in my head, which is "What Have You Done for Me Lately?" Um, I digress.
It's the music background. Yeah.
A question I had about this yesterday is this pivot. What is Congress? How are congressional Republicans going to react? We know some have stuck by Ukraine, but we've seen a lot of Republicans on the Hill say we don't want to send any more to Ukraine. So I'm so curious how they'll react to this shift in tone from the president, and if the tone change stays that way.
Yeah, I agree. Look, when Zelensky came and did his speech to the joint House and Senate, there were a number of Republicans that didn't clap when he said something that was about defending democracy. So there's been those folks all the time, but there's also been many, and I could list names, but they're out there who have pushed to be much more tougher on Russia until Donald Trump got into office, and then it's been cricket since then. Lindsey Graham's a prime example, by the way, who is all about Biden bombing uh, um, Russia if that be what it takes. And I haven't heard a word out of Lindsey in 9 months on this issue.
We have to wrap this up. I did want to talk to you about Jimmy Kimmel because you were gone for all of that. Do you have any brief comments about that? I mean, he's back on the air, but Sinclair and Nexstar are still not going to air his show, and the president is now just threatening to sue ABC on social media outright.
Yeah, well, Sinclair, I don't know about Nextra. I don't know who they are, but Sinclair's been a arm of MAGA for some time. We've got a station in Montana that just doesn't surprise me. It's who the dude is, who's the CEO of that company. But the bottom line is that pulling Jimmy Kimmel off the air was bullshit. He deserves to be back on, and to see the president say, "Well, we're going to take you to court and sue you." That's why these ABC started out and settled that without fighting it was a huge mistake. This is going to happen over and over and over and over again. So hate to be so negative, but they shouldn't have fucking settled the first lawsuit. We wouldn't be here for this one.
Okay, before we go, tell me about your hat. It's orange. Is this a new hat?
Yeah, it's a Congressional Sportsman Caucus. Bunch of hunters a bunch of congressmen and congresspeople that believe that hunting is important, and so we're in hunting season now. So I decided to wear the orange hat.
Orange is kind of I feel like it's your favorite color. Am I right?
No,
You wear a lot of orange.
because I got a lot of orange hats, and I got those orange shirts that I wear for working.
Right.
I'm not
Right.
wearing
That's
the
what
orange
I'm
shirt now because I'm not going to be outside digging in the grease today. Tomorrow I will be.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you all for joining us. Of course, you can find us here on Substack, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube. You can shoot us an email at groundedpcast@gmail.com. We want to thank you all for joining us, and we want to thank our friends at Pearl Jam for letting us use their music on our audio podcast. And now we are going to hop off, and we will come back momentarily with Tara Palmeri for our conversation with her about Jeffrey Epstein.
Thanks for tuning in. I'll try to be more positive next time.